Well, hello, fiber friends. How are my beautiful people out there? I hope you are all crafting and crafting up a storm. Anyway, welcome to another episode of the Knit, Knot, and Weave podcast. My name is Dorothy, and I am coming to you from Columbia, Maryland. My pronouns are she and her. I have 6 finished objects to share with you and 4 new cast-ons. And a couple of other things to share. So without further ado, let's get started. As I said, I have 6 finished objects to share with you. The first being what I'm wearing. This is the Beam Me Up shawl by Fiber Optic Knits. And this was a test knit for her. It's a lovely combination of garter and brioche. It started with an I-cord tab up here, and you work your way through. It's 2 colors, and then you have this beautiful edging down here with these little hills, I guess I should say. It was a very fun knit, very easy. If you are new to brioche, I don't think this would be too difficult of a pattern because there's short sections of brioche and then you go into garter. My only concern might be the increases, but I don't think the increases were not done in brioche. So you might be able to do this if you're new to brioche. And it's like I said, it's very few rows. So you should be able to get the hang of it, and then you go into garter and then a few more. But it's a wonderful knit, and of course, because it is brioche, it can be worn backwards, or it can be worn either way, I should say. Not necessarily, I wouldn't call it backwards. But I have had this green stash in my yarn for quite a while, and it just, when I saw this pattern on Instagram and being asked for test knitters, I just knew this would be the perfect yarn for it. It's a Miss Babs colorway. It's one of her Wild Iris colorways, so it's a one-off, or I should say one of a kind. It's when she's, I think it's when she's experimenting with her colors to see what else could come out. And then the blue is from Test Designer Yarns, and her colorways don't really have names, so it's just like a navyish, tealish blue, and it just really went well with this greeny color. And this greeny color was called Raphael. I have a feeling that she may have done the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So anyway, it was a fun knit. It's nice and squishy, and I love it. So what else can I say about it? It was a quick knit. It was very intuitive once it was easy to keep track of where you were, because the garter stitches are every other color. So it was easy to count where you were and to know where you were at all times. So I love it. The only thing I have not done yet, and I'm still debating, is you can add tassels to the end of each one of these little peaks here. And I'm thinking I might still do that. I haven't decided quite yet. But so that is my Beam Me Up shawl by Fiber Optic Knits. She has, the pattern is now released. It is on Ravelry. She has posted pictures up on her Instagram page, so you could check her out. And it's Fiber, PHIBER, and then optics, as in optics. So she is apparently no, not a neurologist, ophthalmologist. I hope I'm getting that right. The eye doctor. Anyway, I thought it was a cute play on words, but you could definitely check her out on Instagram, and if she has her pattern available anywhere else, I'm sure she'll have it up there. But so, anyway, it's been nice and warm and cozy, and I have definitely been on a test knitting kick this year so far. I have another test knit that I just finished. I want to say, I believe this shawl called for about 250 yards in each colorway. And because the Yowza and the test design yarns are almost 560 yards each, I had lots left over. And so I used it to make, let me check my notes here because I'm out of order, this Teslo beanie, which is another test knit. And this is by Nikki Griffin, also known as Beanie Boat. This is a nice color work hat, but you're only using one color at a time for each row. Or actually, I should say for each 2 rows. So it was very nicely done. It's a regular cast on, 1x1 ribbing, and then you go into the color work. And the floats are not very long, as you can see. There are no long floats in here, so you don't have to worry about that. It's very nice. It comes in 2 sizes. It is still being test knit, so the pattern has not been released yet. But again, it is Teslo Beanie by Nikki Griffin or Beanie Boat. And I will have links to all my pattern pages. Oops. Don't you just love when your hair gets stuck in your knitting? And of course my hair is nice and long. Anywho, I will have all the notes down in the description box below. I will have links to all of my Ravelry pages that explain it and have the information for the patterns on them, so that when they get released, you'll be able to go get a pattern. So this was a lot of fun. I thought it was cute. Not necessarily, it goes in the fact that, you know, it's the same colors, but it's not the same pattern. And well, I guess I'll go ahead and put it on for you. So it's nice. It is a beanie style, so there's no slouch to it. But I knit the size 1, so this is going to be probably more for my one of my little nieces. I do want to make the size 2 and see if it will, well, it'll be a little bit longer, but it was a fun knit and I enjoyed it. And the best part of these 2 is they were stash yarn. So I've been able to work more from my stash this year. So far, it's only March. Next up, we have, let me go back to my notes here. Oh, one of the hats that I knit for the New to Me Mal, or New to You Mal, that was done back in January. And for this one, I tried the Italian cast on, Italian tubular cast on, which I followed, I believe it was Brooklyn Tweed's tutorial on YouTube. But you can see that the cast on makes a lovely, lovely edge. So you can't really see where it goes on and where it continues, or where it ends. And then this was again knit in Lion Brand's Anya collection. Again, it is a discontinued collection. I got these at a yarn swap. Um, love the colors. Again, didn't enjoy knitting with this yarn all that much because it is splitty. This is again another one of my meeting knits. I have meetings regularly at school, and I always bring knitting with me because with my ADD it helps me keep focus. I did a beautiful star closure at the top. I just love how that looks. I cast it on a size 4, and I want to say I did, what is that, about maybe 5 inches of ribbing so that it would have a nice fold-up brim. And then I just switched to stockinetting around and kept going until it was long enough, and then I did my cast-offs. So this will be another one that will go in the hat donation pile. So I started with, I'm losing my mind here, not losing my mind. So I started this on a size 4, probably Knit Picks Pride needles, and then moved up to a 6 for the stockinette. I cast it on 100 stitches for this one. It made a nice fabric, a nice tight fabric, but it's still nice and stretchy. But this will go into the donation pile for our school donations. So for those of you that don't know or are new to the channel, my knitting group chooses a Title I elementary school in our county, and every December we donate bags and bags of hats to the children there. And the last couple of years we've donated approximately 500 hats, which I think is just fabulous. So, something I forgot to share while I was knitting this shawl is that my ChiaoGoo needles broke. I couldn't believe that. I've never had ChiaoGoo needles break on me, but they broke right at the join of where because it was a fixed circular. It was not one of the my sets, my interchangeable sets. It was fixed circular, and it broke. It detached from where the needle and the cable connect. I was shocked. I was just knitting along, and all of a sudden I had these stitches just laying out there, and I was like, oh no, oh no, Mr. Bill. Anyway, I know I'm dating myself here. So shall we move on? I feel like I'm rushing today. I don't know why. Okay, moving on. So we have another test knit. I know, I've just been test knitting away. This is the Lucky Charm Beanie by Stephanie Gilbert, who is also Rosie Posy Knit Company. And this is just in time for St. Patty's Day. Now this pattern has been released. It is on Ravelry. I did the version that called for the longer brim, and I used Malabrigo Pine, the Pine colorway, Malabrigo Rios. Let me start that again. This is the Lucky Charm Beanie by Stephanie Gilbert. It was a February test knit. Stephanie Gilbert is also known as Rosie Posy Knit Company. And I used Malabrigo Rios in the Pines colorway, which was actually left over from my Weekender, my Andrea Mowry Weekender sweater. And I used some undyed worsted weight for the coordinating color. And this was a very, very nice, simple color work pattern. If you are new to color work, this might be a good pattern for you to try, because down at the bottom here, you're going no more than it's, every row is like a 1 by 1, so you don't have long floats. You don't have any long floats in the middle of the clovers here. There's one long float on this line, but you can pick it up, and then the rest it's all beautifully done. And then the hat, the top is all green. And I'm still debating on whether to get a furry white pom-pom or if I should make a green and white pom-pom from the leftover yarns. But I will show you my floats on the inside. See, none of them are very long. Down at the bottom here, you could see how short they are. So this is a rather good pattern to try if you are new to color work or you want to try your hand at color work to see if it's something you can do. Well, it is something you can do. I believe everybody can do it, but to see if it's something you will enjoy doing. It's a short pattern. It's a hat. You're only working with 2 colors. You have no real long floats that you'll have to pick up. So this would be a rather good one. And as you can see, it has not been blocked yet, but it fits nicely. It's long enough to cover my ears. It is beanie style, so there's no slouch to it. I guess if you wanted slouch, you could knit the brim longer, but there's no real area within the pattern to elongate it if you're a more of a slouchy beanie person. But, well, I guess if you really wanted to, you could extend down here before you get to the clovers. But up here, I think it would be a little bit more tricky, especially if you're not a pattern designer, or if you're not familiar with color work and modifying patterns. But that was a fun knit. So that is test knit number 3, right? Did I share one in my previous episode? I can't remember. Yes, my other shawl. So this would be test knit number 4 for the month, for the year. So again, that is the Lucky Charm beanie. And Lucky Charms because of the clovers. And all ready for St. Patrick's Day. And I believe I need to knit 2 more of those hats because my brother-in-law is Irish, which means my 2 nieces are half Irish. So the 3 of them should get an Irish hat, or a Lucky Charm beanie, I should say. So moving on, I have completed my socks for February, my Desert Vista Dye Works socks in the Kiss Me at Midnight colorway. Again, these are done toe up with the rounded toe, an afterthought heel, 2x2 ribbing at the top. And these are soft and squishy, and I can't wait to wear them. So these are sock number 2 in my 12 pairs of socks for the year. Really, I've done a lot of afterthought heels lately, and I really think they fit my heel better than the shadow wrap heel. But anyway, these were fun to knit. If you haven't, go check out Desert Vista Dye Works. She does mostly self-striping. Occasionally you will find a variegated skein, but it's mostly self-striping sock yarn, and she does some amazing colorways, and they could be stripes anywhere from 3 colors to, I think the most I've seen on her website is 9 stripes. Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything more than 9 stripes from her. But she does that regularly, so it's not like a special, it's not like the Advent skeins that have 24 stripes that, you know, people only do once a year. She does all self-striping socks, like I said, from 3 stripes to, I think the most I've seen on her website is 9. So next up, I am so happy this is finished. My niece will be thrilled to know this is finished. I'm thrilled that it's finished because I was tired of working on it. And that would be the crossback sweater. The designer is Chantel, and I'm going to screw this up, Miyagashima, or Knititude. So this is, it can be worn either way, front or back. So here's one side, and then there's the cross. So I think it looks better on my niece when she wears it this way. My niece wanted longer arms, so we had to extend the arms. She did not want the garter stitch, not the garter stitch, yes, the garter stitch ending that was like on the bottom of the sweater. So we did the 2x2 rib. We did have to modify the arms a bit because when I originally picked up, the armhole was way too big for her. The rest of the sweater fit her perfectly, but the number of stitches I had to pick up at the armhole were it was way too loose on her. So what I had to do is, up at the beginning here, every other row I had to do a decrease. So it was like kind of like not really a rapid decrease, but I would decrease 2, one on each side of the needle in the underarm, and then I would knit a row, and then I would decrease another 2, and then I would knit a row. So until we got to a size that was right for her, not too tight, not too loose, because I told her I was not ripping these sleeves out 3 times like I did on her other sweater. So when I got to this point right here where I was done with the decreases, I went to her house and I had her try it on again, and she liked it. So we continued, and right before I did the cuffs, we had her try it on again to make sure the length was right and to make sure that the rest of the sleeve fit nicely, and it did. So then we did the 2x2 ribbing. We did a little bit more decreasing, and then we did the 2x2 ribbing, and I went down 2 needle sizes for the ribbing. So it's still nice and super stretchy. She'll be able to get her arms in here without any issues. But it is done. Yay! I'm so happy. I don't know why this was the bane of my existence for the last year. It was definitely Sleeve Island. And I think I had a mental block when it came to doing the sleeves on this sweater, because not the very first sweater. Anyway, one of the sweaters that I knit her, it's on my Ravelry page if you want to go look. It was a dark teal sweater that had a huge shawl collar, and the sleeves were basically fitted all the way down. And the first time I made it for her, the sleeves were too loose for her. So I had to undo the sleeves and I re-knit it. And the second time I did it, she felt that they were too tight. So I took out the sleeves again, and I looked at, luckily I wrote down the number of stitches that I did the first time versus the number of stitches we did the second time. And I did something in between, and hallelujah, we got it right. So I knew when I was doing this one, she'd be trying this on every so many times to get the sleeves right, because I was not going to knit sleeves 3 times on a sweater. So this is done. She will be very happy to get it. Now that sweater is done, my niece G will be put at the bottom of the list for sweaters, because she now has 3 sweaters made by me, and my other nieces don't have as many. So Gabriella, if you're watching this, don't ask for another sweater for a couple of years. Next up, I have, let me see. Yes, another finished object. And it is my half and half wrap. It's actually more my half and half blanket. I had mentioned when I first started this that I had knit a little bit on the size 3, which is what the pattern called for. It is a free pattern from the Pearl Soho website, and I did use their linen quill. The website has the pattern, and it has 2 different sizes, and I opted to make the larger size. So I bought 3 skeins in the dark iris and 3 skeins in the, I think it's called smoked purple. Oh, I have the label right here. Purple smoke. Smoke purple, purple smoke. But it's linen quill. So it's Highland wool, alpaca, and linen. And again, this was in purple smoke. That's the lighter color. The darker color is dark iris. I felt like on a size 3 it was a bit tight. I probably should have stuck to it because I wound up going to a size 5. And although I love it, it's nice, it's loose, it's drapey, it's warm, it's comfy, it's squishy, it's huge. It's huge. I'm not even sure you're going to be able to see how huge it is, but it's huge. So I finished it Wednesday night at my knit night, and my girlfriends were all like, Dorothy, that's a blanket. No, girls, it's a shawl. No, that's a blanket, Dorothy. So I did do the German short rows. So you don't see the pattern calls for wrap and turns, and wrap and turns, if you look on Ravelry at some of the others, it creates a little bit of a ridge on each side. But I did the German short rows. I am thinking of making another one and actually following the pattern using the size 3s to make it smaller, because although I followed the pattern for the size large, I wasn't thinking, and due to going up needle size, and I think I accidentally casted on more stitches than the pattern called for, I ran out of yarn. So this blanket was actually about 3, it definitely took 3 full skeins, and I want to say maybe a quarter of a 4th skein. Luckily, I found somebody on Ravelry who had some leftover dark iris, and she sent it to me. And I tried to connect with somebody who had about half a skein of the purple smoke left over, but we could never seem to get together. So when Pearl Soho had their last sale for 25% off, I just went ahead and bought myself another skein of purple smoke to finish this up. And so this will probably live either in my bedroom or on the back of my couch, so that when I get up in the morning and enjoy my morning coffee while doing my 30 minutes of knitting before I head out the door for work, I can just have this wrapped around me. Oh, this feels so nice. I really thought with this being, let me see, what is it? With it being 50% Highland wool, I thought it would be scratchy on me, because I'm unfortunately one of those people that is very sensitive to certain wools, which really stinks, but it's not. I don't know if it's because the alpaca softens it up a lot. There's only 35% alpaca and 15% linen, but it really is not scratchy against my skin. I don't know if I'd be able to wear a sweater from it, but I'm willing to try. So anyway, I am thoroughly pleased that this is done and that I can move on to some of my other knits. And then My last finished project actually is not my project at all. A few months ago, I had knit a pair of socks for my girlfriend Ellen, and she was knitting these for herself, and I kept admiring them. And we have a long-standing joke in my knitting group where whenever somebody is making something really nice or something that we like, we just automatically say, oh great, is that my birthday gift? Oh, is that my birthday present? Oh, is that for me for Christmas? And to my surprise, when I said something again to Ellen about these socks, I'm like, oh, you're finished. Does that mean my socks are done? And she said, yes. She goes, they're not my best knits, but yes, you can have them. I thought she was joking because Ellen does not want to give me, how do I say this? Ellen feels that she is not a good knitter, and therefore another knitter would not appreciate her efforts. She's very wrong. Ellen, I know you're watching this. You are wrong. I love them. I have no idea what the yarn is. She'll have to tell you. Hopefully she'll put a comment down below. But she knit these, and I got them. So I am extremely happy. Hey, Ellen, if I like these, you might be suckered into knitting some more for me. So I guess it is time to move on to my new cast-ons. A few of them are actually, yes, one of them is a test knit. So I will actually start with my socks for this month. I'm working on my March Desert Vista Dye Work socks. And since March is Women's History Month, I thought it was apropos to use the colorway called Rainbows Run the World, which she based off of picture of all the females, all the all the high-ranking females that were at the inauguration. She has a picture on her website that has all 8 of them in a row from oh my God, I'm drawing a complete blank here, but the First Lady, Mrs. Biden, Kamala Harris, I hope I said that right, Hillary Clinton, oh gosh, why can't I think of the poet's name? Oh gosh, I cannot believe I'm drawing a blank on this girl. She read that beautiful, beautiful poem. Gorman? I can't think. I will put it down below. But it is 8 colored stripes. Again, I am starting toe up. So you could see the rainbow starting to take place here. I was starting to do the knit 3 slip 1, and then I completely forgot that I was doing the pattern and just kept knitting. So I must have been watching a TV show or something and just knitting away and completely forgot that I was doing the pattern. So, oh well, it'll just be around my toes. This is I think 1, 2, 3, there's only about 4 rows per stripe for my foot, and I think that was just too soon, because here you could see 2 here. It was just too soon to try and offset that. My brain just was not in the frame of mind to do that. So there we go. Desert Vista Dye Works. This will be my 3rd pair, my March pair. So I am slowly working towards my one a month towards my goal of 12 for the year. And it is housed in my Knit for Brains little sock bag. And this is like the perfect size for socks. But I'm going to have to let go of it soon because it says let it snow. And well, we did not get any snow, any real snow here in Maryland this year, which is very, very disappointing. I was hoping for at least one good snowfall. But no, Mother Nature did not bless us this year. So anywho, I may have to go through my bag stash because I think I have another little bag like this, but I don't think it's from Knit for Brains. But anyway, Knit for Brains drawstring bag. I love my drawstring bags. You know, I find it so funny because I want to say about 10-15 years ago, I used to make bags and I used to sell them up on Etsy under Phelia's Fiber Bags. And at the time, everybody wanted drawstring bags. Everybody complained about zipper bags and how the yarn would get stuck in the zippers, or it would, if the yarn was running, you know, if you were pulling the yarn out, it was running along the zipper, that it would do something to the yarn. And so nobody made bags with zippers. Nobody wanted bags with zippers. And then here we are in 2013, editing Dorothy here. I cannot believe I just said 2013. I meant 2023. There are so many bag makers out there now that have zippers. I never had a draw for either one. Like it never affected me either way, because I think I just naturally, when I opened up my zipper bags, I would just sort of fold them over a little so that if I was pulling the yarn from the bag, it wouldn't run against the zipper. But, you know, when you're making things to put out for people to buy, you want to put out things that people want to buy. So all of my bags were all drawstring bags, and they had a nice little inside pocket. Unfortunately, I never continued with that, although I still have lots of fabric in my stash. But maybe one day, we'll see. Anywho, we'll move on. So we're going to move to another test knit that I'm doing, and this is in my Columbia Sip and Knit Retreat bag from last year. No, last year we had something different. 2 years ago. So what are we? From 2021. And I love this bag. It's a nice canvas bag. It's actually supposed to be a shoe bag, but the company I found, they were reasonably priced, even with putting our logo on it and even doing the coloring, since there's 2 different colors in there. It was a rather reasonable price. And this is a test knit. I am bopping about here, and oh my, the name is not on the pattern. It's in my notes. It's in my notes. It's in my notes. Where is it in my notes? Haha, there it is. It's the Ancient Moss Shawl by Melissa Kramer Designs. So I can't share any of the pattern, but I could show you what it looks like. And so when I first started this pattern, I had, oh, and I don't even have it in here. Anyway, nope, I didn't bring it up. I had skeins of yarn from my stash in a black, in a gray, in a cream, and in a chartreusey yellowy green. And I thought the gray, the black, and the green would be a nice combo. But I started it on one of my weekends away, and I got through a couple of stitches, and the way that the yellow was coming through just Oh, let's just say it reminded me of when I was changing my nieces when they were babies. It's about as nice as I can put it. So yeah, I had to tear that apart. And I went back to my stash and I found some Madeline Tosh Silk Merino, which unfortunately she is no longer dying, or Jimmy Bean has discontinued this particular base. But I had 3 colors. I had, this was sage. Let me take them out of the bag because you won't be able to see the colors. But this was sage leaf. It's like a little green. It's a greeny silver. And then I had deep, which is this beautiful, beautiful blue. And then I had calligraphy, which is this grayish pink, which I think is just an amazing color, how it just looks different no matter which way you do it. So anyway, so that's what I decided to go with. And I'm loving it. So here it is so far. It is on my Chowgu needles, size 9s. I'm surprised I read that without my glasses. But, oops. Here it is so far, and I just love it. The 50/50 silk merino is just luscious to work with. The base is very similar to the base that I could speak today. Very similar to the base that the designer used. It was another dyer, but it was again a 50/50 silk merino base. So I would say I'm about halfway through the pattern. Lovely, lovely pattern. I thought this looks very similar, but you really can see the difference between the green and the pale green and the pale pink in person, although it's not coming up so well on the screen. But I just, much, much better than the yellow that I was using in the first time I did it. So if you have not worked with a 50/50 silk merino wool, oh, I feel like I've died and gone to heaven. So it works up beautifully. It's a very easy pattern to memorize, or it's very intuitive once you get into it. I love the color changing. I may try it once I'm done with this one. I may try it again in the original yarn that I picked, but I will leave out that yellow and just do the white, the gray, and the black. Or I might dye the white a hot pink or a blue-based red. Ooh, that might be an idea. Black, gray, and what do you guys think? A blue-based, I can't do orange. I can't do the orange reds. I have to do the cooler reds. What do you think? Black, gray, and red, or black, gray, and hot pink? I know, such 50 vibes either way, right? or black, gray, and light pink? No, I think I like black, gray, and hot pink, or black, gray, and red. Anyway, so hopefully this will be done by the next podcast, because I think the deadline date is coming up for this one. But I'm having a real blast doing all these test knittings and pulling stuff from my stash. I don't have to go out and buy the yarns, which is nice. I would say for 2.5 months, I've been doing very well shopping from my stash. Very proud of myself. I think the caveat that is working for me this year with it is that I'm not exactly forbidding myself to buy new yarn. I'm just looking at what I have first And so far, I have been finding stuff in my stash that I can use. So I almost forgot the pattern. So I'm very, very pleased with myself in that respect. Does that mean I'm not buying any yarn at all this year? Absolutely not. Because like I have said, Rhinebeck is coming up. Maryland Sheep and Wool is coming up. And I know that Aaron from Fiber Hustle is getting ready to sell his yarns. I already have some skeins from Needles at the Ready. I have 3 skeins of theirs that I need to figure out a pattern for. But anywho, let's move on. So this is in a fat squirrel bag, my little mushroom butts. This just makes me happy. Mushroom butts make me happy. So I had to buy it. I wish I had bought it in a larger size bag. But what are you going to do, right? So my niece's birthday just passed. Something just fell, and I don't know what it was. Probably a stitch marker. So my niece's birthday just passed. She just turned 8. I cannot believe my youngest niece is 8 years old. Oh my God, 8 going on 34. But she definitely has my father's build in that she does not look like an 8-year-old. But I decided I wanted to make her the Bean and Olive sweater. I thought it was just adorable. I know her favorite color is purple. So I went into my stash and looked to see what I had. And I had some of this Trendsetter yarn. Merino, what is it, 6? In this, it's called Periwinkle, but it's definitely more of a purple. Yeah, that's better. So I had enough of this for the base color. And then I had this yarn, which do I have? No, I do not have the, let me see, is it in my notes? I know it's Ulan yarn. Yes, Ulan hand-dyed in Ireland, Merino DK. I do not have the colorway written down, but I bought this at the Knot House a number of years ago from one of our retreats. And I wove a scarf with it, and this was my leftover, and it was plenty to make this pattern for her. And so it is currently on my Haya needles. Let me take off these are little, I think they're called Midori clips. They're actually Japanese paper clips, but they work well to hold your stitches on your needles. And I have gotten to the part where I have split for the sleeves, and I just love how these yarns work together. I think the hearts are adorable. I think she's going to love it. But right now, I am on hold with this because the last time I saw my nieces, these are for my nieces for my younger sister. They live in New York. And the last time I saw them, they were down here. I took their body measurements. And let me see. Do I have it written down here? And see, I have notes all over this pattern. According to her body measurements, even though she's 8, she's tall, but I don't think she's broad-shouldered. The measurement is 28.5 inches for the 6 to 8-year-old. And with 0 to 4 inches of positive ease. And I think she came in at 20, with a chest of 26. But anyway, I had to we had a text message going between me and my two sisters, and something my younger sister said about my niece made me stop and think. And I said to her, you know, I gave her the measurements that I took from her last time I saw her, and I said, can you please remeasure Priya and make sure my measurements are correct? I said, because I am stalled on this sweater now until I get the measurements again from her. If they're the same, then I can continue on with this sweater. If they are different, I might have to go up to the larger size, which means I cannot use this yarn because I don't have enough for the larger size. So I was thinking, if I have to go up to the larger size, what am I going to do? Because she loves purple. I'm wondering if maybe I repeat the heart pattern and maybe the zigzags down at the bottom too, or do you think that would be too much? I don't know. All right. I've been bugging my sister. She swore to me that she will check the measurements tonight for Priya and get back to me. So I guess I will hold off. I will search Ravelry and see if anybody has any of this color left over that maybe I can buy off of them or whatever. And if not, I know I have some undyed DK in my dyeing stash that I could dye up into a purple, but that would put me at a standstill, which means I want to try and get this sweater done by Easter, because that is the next time I think I'm going to see her. Problem is, am I going to be able to dye this shade of purple? And probably not. Anywho, so I'm hoping this is going to fit her. I'm really proud. This is my first colorwork sweater, and I feel like it's not tight. I feel like I did it well and that it should stretch nicely. The floats are not too bad. I can't totally turn it inside out because of the sleeves, but the floats are not too bad. And like I said, it feels like it'll stretch enough. I mean, that's pretty stretchy even before blocking. So, my first colorwork sweater, and I may have to take it out anyway. But like I said, I'm proud. I feel like it's not tight. I tried to consciously be a little bit looser as I was doing the color work, because I know a lot of people have mentioned that they go up in color work, but since this was at the very top of the sweater, I didn't want to do that. So I am following the pattern. They're not the original barber cords, but a version of it. I think I got these from Hobie. 2 years ago, I bought a bunch of these, and they went into our retreat bags, and that was before they became really popular, the barber cords. But anyhow, so that is a new cast on. I know I have so many works in progresses, and here I am casting on new things, but this will be a gift, so I'm very pleased with it. I still have plenty of this left over, so even if I do have to go up, I don't have to worry about this. So that I'm happy with. And considering that the sweater only has little hearts around the sleeves, I should have plenty. And I don't know. I have to go back and see if anybody else did any extending of the color work to the bottom to see how I would feel about that. But anywho, I'm enjoying that. I'm happy that I got the color work done. I'm happy that it's nice and stretchy. I thought there would be, because like looking at it, let me see if I can, I don't know if I can show this. Looking at it, it looks like the hand-dyed yarn is thicker, but they are both considered DK weight, but you really don't notice the difference in the sweater. So I'm wondering if the Trendsetter will plump up a little more when it gets wet blocked. But so far, so good. Really happy. I can't wait till this is done. I think she's going to be super, super excited. This is the little niece that if you watched it may have been my first, I may have put it in my first episode for this year. She was the one I knit the flower pillows for. She is so, so expressive and so just so knit and crochet worthy. She just, her facial expression, she just lights up when she knows that you have made her something special. So all of my nieces are like that, but she definitely has the facial expressions. It just melts your heart. It melts my heart when I see it. So up next, I did start my Big Cozy Cardi from Andrea Mowry. So it's the Big Cozy Cardi. And I'm using the yarn that she calls for in the pattern. I picked it up when I was at Rhinebeck last year. So I am using the Skydance, the Ursa Minor base, which is Cormo, Merino, and Romney. So I'm really happy to be trying some new yarns. This is my first time knitting with Cormo and Romney. This will be a long-term knit because it's knit on size 4s. And this is what I have so far. Love this stitch pattern. I'm noticing that when I'm knitting with this yarn, that I think there is some spinning oil on here still, because I get like, not exactly black, but definitely like a dark gray film on my hands. It will, at least I think it's spinning oil and not dye from the yarn. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think the way it feels, the way this feels, I think it might be spinning oil. And then the alpaca that I got to go with it is the Farmer's Daughter alpaca, and it's in the, oh, that's what I forgot to tell you, the colorway. So the colorway for my Ursa Minor is Get My Soul Free. So that's this color. And then the color of the alpaca is Namu. So I think that's going to be really pretty together. So this is like a purplish brownish base with this maroony purpley color here. So this is going to be a long-term project because, like I said, I'm pretty sure that's spinning oil. And, you know, knitting a big cardi on size 4s. So these are size 4 Haya Hayas, extra sharp. I love my sharp tips. But so far, I've got, what is that, 1.5 inches, 2 inches? So. This is my second, I guess this is my third Andrea Mowry sweater. This will be my second sweater, but my third Andrea Mowry knit sweater. And then I have this gorgeous thing. I'm calling this my Blessed Bee blanket. It is the Anthology Throw by Helen Stewart. And I am using a gradient kit that I got from Miami Fiber Company. It's a 25 skein kit. It's a 25 mini skein kit. I've showed this in the past. Oh, it's all crinkly. I will take a video of it all laid out so that you can see. But here I've gotten 4 colors on here so far. So that was the first color. And it went into the second, the third, and the fourth. And it's going to go all the way through. So it's going to go all the way through to these really dark colors out here. It's Mystic Fiber Company, and the dyer is Lauren, and this is her Be Blessed or Blessed Bee Advent Kit from 2022. I believe I spoke in my last video that it was not I did not buy this for an Advent in December. I had seen it on somebody else's podcast that I was just flipping through, and when she could this podcaster, I wish I could remember her name. I think I've mentioned it in a previous episode, but she could not wait and open one every day. She opened the whole thing and laid it all out, and I was just gobsmacked with the way this woman worked. I mean, it was just an absolutely perfect thing. And along with that, I also bought the full skein that coordinated with it. And so this is going to be, I'm going to use this as the edging. So it's going to be a little bit bigger than the pattern calls for because I have this extra skein. But Yana from Finished Knitting Stories has already finished hers. And I think she went a little bit bigger, and I have to go back and check, but I think she said she just continued, that you could just continue the border stitches to make it bigger. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm using the Russian join, so I'm using every bit of these minis that I can. So none of these minis will be in any of my scrap blankets because I'm not going to have any scraps left over. But then I'm going to finish it with this. And I think it's just going to be stunning. It's going to be dark. It's going to be moody. It's going to be so my witchy vibes. I cannot wait. But I have so many works in progresses that it's going to be a while till it's finished. I wish I could say that I would love to come home and knit a mini a night, 20 grams a night, and get it done in, 26, 27 days. But My ADD just does not let me do that. That and the fact that I have some test knits I need to get done. Sorry, didn't mean to do the crinkling. So, like I said, I would love to be able to come home and knit a mini a day and get this blanket done in a month. But then that means I would have to put everything else on hold. And I've made, unfortunately, too many commitments to do that. Commitments to designers for test knitting and commitments to myself for my goals for this month, for this year. Two more things I want to share. I am getting ready to test knit. I know my friend Ellen's going to yell at me. You know, everybody keeps telling me, I watch all these wonderful podcasters, and everybody keeps telling me that there are no knitting police out there. You can do what you want. Obviously, none of these people have a friend like my friend Ellen, because Ellen is the knitting police in our community. And I say that lovingly, Ellen, you know that. But Ellen is definitely our knitting police, or at least my knitting police. We were at a knit night, and I was doing something. It may have been one of the test knits that I just shared. And I said, you know, I've got to stop volunteering to test knit. But they've been so much fun. And apparently she overheard me. She's like, yes, you do. You need to stop that. You have too many goals you need to hit this year. And I was just like, Mom, are you here? Anyhow, moving on. I got an email from my sister, and I had seen this pattern already, and I had it in the back of my head that my niece Juliana would absolutely love it. But I have never done amigurumi. Well, I'm going to be trying amigurumi. And I find it hysterical that the first line of this pattern is, good luck. So anyhow, I am going to be attempting to crochet this Wednesday doll for my niece Juliana. We are both huge Addams Family people. She is actually the one that got me to start watching the Wednesday TV show that's on, was it Amazon or Netflix? I don't remember. So anyway, my older sister sent me, I don't know how she managed to find a picture of this doll, but she sent me a picture of the doll, and she said Juliana would really love this for her birthday. Her birthday's in May, so I have some time. But I had to buy some yarn for it because it calls for a fingering weight cotton. So I ordered the cotton that was used in the pattern itself. So I've got 2 skeins of Catania in black, which I will need 2 skeins for. Unfortunately, the peach and white I only needed 1 skein of, but it was being sold as a 2-pack. So there's the peach and there's the white. So aside from the 1 skein of linen quill I had to purchase to finish my half and half triangle wrap, this is the extent of my yarn purchasing for this year. And on top of that, I had to buy a tiny crochet hook to do this pattern. So of course I bought it in my Etimo because I love these. Especially, I like these for my smaller crochet hooks. I do still like my furls, but my furls in the smaller hooks with the finer yarn, they feel a little too heavy. So I had to buy it. It's a 1.25 millimeter hook. Heaven help me. What else? I've already purchased the eyes, the doll eyes from Etsy, and I bought the hair from Etsy, both which have arrived. I forgot to bring them up here. So I have everything that I need. I'm not quite sure where to find these. I'm thinking those are just simple jump rings, but I have not been able to find, unless I missed it in the pattern, exactly what size jump rings they were. Materials, let's see, katana, the safety eyes I have. Oh, there's wiring that goes inside of her arms and legs, which I have purchased. Tulle I have not purchased. See, now this says four pieces of metal rings, and then in parentheses it says keychain rings can be used. And I'm thinking keychain rings are pretty big. So I'm thinking these are jump rings, and I'm guessing these are probably the size jump rings that we might use for like the smaller needles, like our sock size needles, or up to maybe a size 4. So I'll have to go through my stitch marker making kits to see if I have jump rings small enough that I can use. But if you hear a scream coming from Columbia, Maryland, it's probably me pulling my hair out trying to make this doll for my niece. So if any of you out there have made a Magori, is there anything I need to know before I get started? Because I don't know what I'm doing. And then I'm getting ready to start 2 new test knits, and they are for Judy from the Autumn Acorn. Is it the Autumn Acorn? Yes, I think it's the Autumn Acorn. Anyway, I love her podcast. She lives in the woods in Vermont in a log cabin. She does natural dyeing. She has a very calming, soothing voice. I love watching her podcasts, and she is the person who has designed the magic heel, which is what I used for my niece's little socks, which I do not have up here. Nope, I do not have up here. But anyway, she has redone the pattern, and she has redone it for a DK weight sock and for a bulky weight slipper. And I volunteered to test knit both of those for her, and I was so thrilled when she picked me, because I have decided, I have purchased, oh, that's it. I had to purchase Let Lopey yarn to make the slippers. So I purchased 2 different color blacks, like a black and like 2 different color, like dark charcoals in Let Lopey, and then 2 different color grays, like one a lighter gray and one a darker gray in Let Lopey, and then 1 skein of a red. And the 2 blacks are going to go together, and they're going to be a pair of slippers for my brother-in-law for Christmas. So see, Ellen, even though I'm test knitting, I'm getting my Christmas list done early. And the 2 grays are going to be the slippers for my sister in New York. And they're both going to be trimmed in that red. So even though I am test knitting, they're going to be Christmas gifts. And then the DK weight yarn, I've decided I'm going to try my Geelong wool that I dyed up, and I'm going to hold it with a mohair that I have. And the mohair, I believe, is from Mesa Skeins, and it coordinates nicely with this red that I dyed. So this Geelong is a very rustic feeling yarn. I have no idea if it gets any softer once you soak it when it's done, like if you soak it in a wool wash, or I've heard some people say that they have soaked scratchy yarns in conditioner, and that has really changed the feel of it. So we'll see. But I'm thinking I'm going to use this to do the DK pattern with the mohair, either mohair or Suri alpaca. And I think that's going to make a very, very nice house sock for me. And so that is it for what I'm working on currently. I do have other whips. I just haven't made any progress on them since I last podcasted or shared them with you, so I'm not going to bother to share them. The only other acquisition that I have to share is my Row 1 minis. They had come in for this month, and for those of you that don't know, Row 1 is a subscription service. Every month you will automatically get a package. It comes in this little bag. And what Row 1 does is it shares different indie dyers with you that you may not know of in your area. So you get a little bag like this with each shipment. And in the bag is an explanation of the yarn dyer, a stitch marker, and usually some sort of a candy treat. And ooh, this time it's a Charleston chew. God, I haven't had one of these in years. And then my little stitch marker is, what is this? Oh, it looks like one of those balloon doggies. Can you see that? There we go. So that's neat. And the dyer, this month's dyer is Knit Circus Yarns. So the greatest of ease, that's the name of the base. It's an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon fingering weight, and comes in 400 yards for 100 grams. So this particular package has 10 10-gram minis. So you get 100 grams in your package, but you get 10 different colorways. And these colorways are Slow and Steady, Heirloom, Grenadine, ROUS, which is from The Princess Bride, Rodents of Unusual Size. At least that's how I know ROUS. If it's something else, I don't know. Keepsake, Mermaid Tail, One in Chameleon, Goo Lagoon, Poolside, and On the Catwalk. So you get, and I'm sorry about the crinkling, I'm not taking it out of the package. So you get 10 10-gram minis in different colors. They are already, what's nice is they are already wound up and ready to be used. So you could literally just find an end and start working from it. If you choose to purchase 2 bags a month, I understand you will get 20 different colors. Now, if you choose to do 3 bags a month, I don't know. You'll have to ask. I don't know any YouTuber or any knitting podcaster out there that has done 3 a month. I know that some have done 2, and they have said that every month they do 2, they get 20 different colors. So that is all the knitting content I have for you today. So if you are just here for the knitting, thank you so much. I wish you farewell. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy fibering of any kind. For the life stuff, I just thought I would catch you guys up. A couple of weeks ago, we had, it was not a knitting retreat, but it was a knitting retreat. It is not an official knitting retreat that I do through my knitting group, Columbia Sip and Knit. But about, I'd say probably about 15 years ago, there's been a group of us that have been going away for a weekend in like February, March. It's just sort of a weekend away. No goodie bags, no lessons, nothing like that. Nothing like a normal retreat. It's just a group of good friends that go away for a weekend. We go into the mountains of Maryland. and this woman rents out her house, or she has a house on her property that she rents out. It's fully equipped. It's absolutely lovely. We went. We had a lovely time. I got to see some people that no longer live in our immediate area, but they still join us for our little getaways, and it's been a lot of fun. We had a couple of new faces, a couple of faces that we missed because they either had prior commitments or they are going through some medical treatments and cannot join us. For those of you that have been following along, my girlfriend Carol has done her 3rd chemo treatment, and unfortunately she had to put a halt to it because the tumor that had, I hope I'm saying this right, the tumor that had metastasized from her lung into her hip had grown 30%, and the doctors really felt that they needed to put a pin in her leg because they were afraid that the size of the mass was really going to hinder the bone that was there and might cause her to either fracture or break the bone, which, due to everything she's going through, would make it harder to heal. So they decided to go ahead and put a rod in her thigh to make it stronger. So that is done. I don't know why they didn't remove the mass that was in her leg when they put the rod in. And I'm sorry, I know I just jumped from a knitting retreat to Carol. I apologize, but this is the way my brain works sometimes. But she hit the surgery has been successful. She is, from what I understand from her, through text messages, she is healing nicely. She has an absolutely astoundingly positive attitude to everything that's going on right now. And I think that that's really boosting her own healing process, is that she is not so focused on the negative. She really has a supremely, supremely positive outlook to everything. And I think that is so what any person would need if they were going through this. So I'm so thankful that she did not lose that part of her personality going through this. Anyhow, so she's doing well. So if you have her on in your prayers, please continue to pray for her. I don't care which God you are praying to, but as long as you're praying for her to, overcome these obstacles and continue on, that's all I ask. So she unfortunately was not able, that's where I was going with this. She was unfortunately not able to join us this year. So she was missed, and a few others were missed. But it was a lovely weekend. It was just like a relaxing, a regenerating, calming weekend, especially for those of us in the teaching field right now. Actually, I should say for those of us that were in the teaching or the nursing field. Anyway, that was well needed. We used to do these kinds of weekends more often when my girlfriend Ellen's church had more access to a retreat house that was deeper into the woods. It was very minimal, and we used to share the cooking of meals. But whenever the church wasn't, I think they used to have 3 or 4 weekends a year that the church could use, and it had gotten to the point where the church wasn't really using this retreat house or this timeshare thing that they had. And so we, as the knitting group, we used to go. And finally they've knocked down the number of times they have access to this house, so we haven't been there in a while, but we used to do these weekends more frequently, and it was just lovely. Books that I have read, I have been on a real witchy kick this past month. I don't know why. A lot of these, I shouldn't say unfortunately, a lot of these are YA books, because I do have to read and evaluate books that don't have, that either don't have positive reviews in a review source or don't have a review source at all yet. And so I have read Witches Steeped in Gold, The Black Witch, and The Bone Witch. I know, like I said, all witchy themes. And all three of these books have other books to go, like they're the first in their series. So the first book I read was the, actually I should say I've listened to. I tend to listen to my books more because I'm always on the road. So The Witches Steeped in Gold, and forgive me, I do not have the authors written down. And I can't look them up because I'm recording on my phone. But basically, The Witches Steeped in Gold, that there are two main characters, and they are both technically, in their own right, they're supposed to be the next queens of territory of this territory. Very, very mythical. The world that the author created was very vivid, very you could just see it going on in your head. The person that was, and I will put all this information in the notes below, but the person who read the audiobooks was just amazing. And the juxtaposition of the two and what's going on, it was a thrilling read. I am looking forward to reading the second book to see where the adventure goes. And the person you thought was the bad person at the beginning, or no, the person you thought that was the bad person is the bad person. But I don't know. I'm not explaining this one very well, but it was a fabulous, fabulous book. And then I read The Black Witch, which is very well written. I think it really leads to what is going on today in real life, but portrayed in a fantasy setting. I have not read the rest of the series yet, but it's definitely like what's going on today. There's a certain race. They're called the Gardnerians, and they feel that they are the superior race. There are other races that, they either look down upon or they feel are inferior. And of course, there's all this stuff going on. And I'm not usually one that goes, even though I have an English bachelor's, I've never been one of these people that always sees the hidden innuendos or the connections between, oh, this lamplight must be, a connection to the lamplight that was in The Great Gatsby. I've never made those kinds of connections, but this book really stood out to me in that I could, and maybe it's because I'm really very conscious of what's going on in this country right now, and I'm so disgusted with some of the things that I am seeing, to think that, one, we are in 2023, and I feel like there are people in positions that are trying to take us back to even earlier than like the 1950s. And I look at that and I don't understand, because when I think of the world in general, we are technically a very, very young country in relation to our European or African ancestors. And yet, when I look at that and I compare it to the younger generation, the 18-year-olds that have voted in the last election, they are all for, most of them, I shouldn't say they are all, most of them are for equality. Most of them are for a more forgiving, a more inclusive society. I feel like we as a whole, being a young country, should be in that same mindset, in that we should be more inclusive, more encompassing, more forward thinking, in in that same manner as these teenagers are. And yet, as a country, we're going backwards. And so that was the connection that I made with the Black Witch, with this story. And there are other books in this series that I have not gotten to yet, but I cannot wait to see where it goes from there. And then the last one is the Bone Witch, which I am working through that series right now. I'm actually in the second of the 3 books. And that is set, I think it's like I know the author the author of the Bone Witch series is Rin Shepeko, Rin Shepeko, R-I-N, and don't ask me to spell the last name, but it's Shepeko. And although I've seen pictures of her, she appears to be of Asian descent. I'm not the best at discerning exactly whether she is Korean, Japanese, or Chinese, but she looks of Asian descent. And yet the story, I feel like, is written in maybe in like an India type of setting, and I'm almost like a mix, because I feel like some terms and the way they call certain things, I don't know why, but it reminds me of what I would think of as would be like Indian or Moroccan or something like that. And yet I also think of the way they describe the clothes that certain certain sects of the community wear, make me think more of like a geisha. So it's not a true geisha form. They call it a hua as to what some of these women wear. And again, there's the aspect of the mythical, the fantasy, in where the ashas are there's the ashas, there are the heart forgers, and there are the, oh crap, is the other group the shadow seekers? So shoot, I can't believe I can't. Anyway, those are the 3 main groups of people in this story. And the ashas are they have the magical powers, and they use it through ruins. And then there's also a sect of the asha that are called the dark asha, that cannot use ruins in the same manner that the regular asha can, but they can raise the dead, and they are called dark ashas because if they do too much of what is really their speciality, their heart's glass can become what they call dark rot. So in other words, they can go dark they can go dark in the fact that they can become very it seems to lead to the fact that they can become very evil. And heart's glass is something that they get when they are 13, and depending upon what color their heart's glass is, determines where they go, or if they even go into one of these sects. S-E-C-T. And so I've gotten through the first book was interesting, but it was a little slower. The second book is the Heart Forger, and it actually picks up, and you go between the main character, who is called Tia. It goes through her now, and then there are also sections where it goes to her and what she happened in the past, and it's very well done. So I highly recommend all 4 of these books. I cannot speak to the whole series when it comes to Witches Steeped in Gold or the Black Witch, because I haven't finished them yet. So I'm working through the Bone Witch first. And like I said, I've just finished book 2, and I am on the 3rd book, which is the Shadow Glass. And my understanding is Shadow Glass is what one of their heart glasses can turn into with special circumstances that is supposed to give someone immortality. This is all run off of, traditions and stories that were passed down. Nobody knows for sure. So anyway, that is all I have for you this time. I hope you're all doing well. I do have a question for this week. I actually have 2 questions for this week. So the first one, for those of you that are new to this channel, I read a question. They're called Table Topics. This set happens to be all about women, and I thought for Women's History Month, that's the first set I bought, and I thought for Women's History Month, I would definitely continue to use that set. Then I did buy the original set of Table Topics. So today, I will have 2 questions for you guys. So the first one, I'm going to stick with the Maya Angelou. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to stick with the women's topics. And the one I pulled out today was Maya Angelou. And it reads, how important is it for us to recognize and celebrate our heroes and sheroes? From Maya Angelou. And the question is, who is one of your heroes and why do they inspire you? And I would have to say, this is a continuation of my question from last time, that my hero is my mom. She grew up in Italy. She was born in the middle of World War II. She still has a bit of the mentality of, living through the end of the war and everything that happened, and knowing that for our family, for my mom's side of the family, who was very, before World War II, was very well off. They were actually barons and baronesses of the region that my parents were from, and that the Germans came in and took everything, everything that her grandparents and her great-grandparents had. And so they were still living on the backlash of that. But that at the age of 21, she married my dad and started her life and came to America. My father, as I've said previously, had already come over here. I think they came over when he was 14 or 16. And he worked from the day he landed. He worked to bring the rest of his family over, and he wrote letters to my mom. They wrote letters back and forth. And at 21, he went back to Italy, married my mom, and then brought her over on the boat. My mom gets very, very seasick, but she made it through, and they built an incredible life together here in America. And through their hard work, they instilled in me and my 2 sisters a real work ethic. I wish she had taught me more about money and savings, and how really the backbones of how they built the wealth that they did. Not to say that they are rich by any means of today's standards, but they are well. Whatever happens in the economy, they will be okay, I believe. But anywho, so my mom is my shero. She worked her butt off when she came to this country. She took any job that she could. She continued to utilize the diploma that she earned in Italy as a dressmaker. She has worked for dressmakers. She has worked for cleaners that do alterations. She worked for a woman who had her own line of clothing that she would sell the boutique. So, you know, she is my hero. Shiro. I'm sorry, she is my Shiro. And then the question I have from the regular card, the regular cards don't have anything. They just have the one question on the side is, if you knew you wouldn't get hurt, would you rather skydive or view sharks from an underwater cage? Well, all of my friends know that I would choose skydiving. I would do the sharks under the water too. I would do that now. It would bother me. I have always wanted to go skydiving, but because of my knees, I have very, very bad knees. I think I have shared this once before. I had surgery on my left knee, gosh, probably about 10 years ago now. And when I came out of surgery, my surgeon told me, you know, I have good news and I have bad news. And of course, you know, the first thing you do when you wake up is check to make sure that your leg is still attached when they tell you he's got bad news. But unfortunately, the bad news was that what they thought was causing the issue in my knee was not what was showing up on the MRI. It was actually a piece of cartilage that had fallen off from the back of my kneecap and was just floating in there. So 10 years ago, he directly told me I had the knee of an 85-year-old. And I have been working ever since to try and build up the muscles around it to support it. And I'm having issues with my right knee now, and I'm refusing to have surgery because right now my right knee is stronger than my left knee. And so it's a mix. It's a mix right now between what my body can do and what my mind is telling me my body can and cannot do. So it's been a struggle. Kettlebells has helped tremendously in my progress with my knees. I still have some backslides. I think I need to really do a better job of watching what carbs I eat, especially refined or sugar carbs, because they definitely have an effect on the inflammation that happens in my body. But I would love to be able to go skydiving, and I know that that's probably never, ever going to be in the cards for me with the way my knees are right now. So on that note, I wish you a lovely, lovely whatever. A lovely March, a lovely weekend. I hope you are knitting. I hope you are crocheting. I hope you are enjoying whatever fiber arts you are enjoying. And I might have a new fiber arts project to share with you next time. We'll see. I know. I do not need another hobby. I do not need another hobby. I do not need another hobby. I keep telling myself this, and yet I keep watching these videos of how to do this other thing that I think I'm going to try anyway. So on that note, please, please, please have a wonderful, wonderful time doing whatever it is you're doing. Be kind to your neighbors. Check on them. Call your family members, and I wish you farewell. Ciao, ciao. Till next time.